On today's show, will we see the LA Clippers embrace vintage James Harden amidst the concerns with Kawhi Leonard's health? It's all coming up on today's Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Look, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the exact same page where you actually place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place your first $5 bet. Just head on over to FanDuel.com. They've got so many different wagers. You can take a look at division winners, conference winners, different season awards, or just the outright favorites to win the Super Bowl this year. Right now, the Chiefs are plus 500, 49ers plus 700. Right behind them, the Ravens at plus 750. And then a three-way tie. The Houston Texans, Detroit Lions, and Buffalo Bills all plus 1,100. So for all those odds and so much more, head on over to FanDuel.com. Joining us now is the host of Locked On Clippers, Darian Vaziri. You can track down wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Clippers. And Darian, it kind of sounds like we are headed for a Clippers season that is going to feature a lot of James Harden, based on what we heard out of Clippers Media Day, and almost, I guess, kind of by necessity with the uncertainty regarding the health of Kawhi Leonard, at least for the start of this season.
Yeah, and the Clippers don't really have much of a choice. You don't have another star now that Paul George is gone. James Harden, as you know better than anyone, is more than capable of saying, I can carry the offense tonight. Now, can he do it as well as he used to be able to do? Of course not. But some of the quotes that have come out of this training camp are very similar to what we heard before the 2022-23 season, in which James Harden averaged 20 points, 11 assists, and was one game away from a conference finals appearance for the Philadelphia 76ers, where he had lost weight, feels slimmer, looks slimmer. He said it was the best shape he's been in to start the season in 5 to 6 years. Now, visually, when you look at James Harden, he does not look as good as Houston Rockets James Harden physically, but that's normal with the age, with the hamstring injury that he's gone through. But he's definitely in better shape than last season. He's ready to take on more of an offensive load, which we know he can do. I mean, the guy shot 11 shots a game last season. He could easily get that number up to 15. So, and plus, as I said, the Clippers don't have another star. So they're going to need James Harden to take on that load. And of course, without Kawhi Leonard, which there are going to be games without Kawhi Leonard, it's going to be the James Harden show. And honestly, the Clippers just don't have that many creators. So Harden's going to have to do it. And I think he'll be ready for it.
It certainly sounds like he's confident, at least to start the year, saying that he's, in the best shape that he's been in. He was also kind of asked how he's adjusting to the new style of the NBA, and he dropped kind of a bar where he said, I'm one of the people that the NBA had to adjust to, which is frankly just true, right? I mean, James Harden changed the game for, whether for the better, for the worse, whatever, that's a matter of opinion, I guess, at this point. But looking at kind of where the Clippers stand, does it feel like, obviously there's the concerns, the questions with Kawhi's health, and ultimately how good or whatever level of success the Clippers have this season is going to be dependent on how much Kawhi they ultimately get, where his health is at. We're going to get to that here in just a second. But does it feel like the Clippers are almost being, I guess, slept on, disrespected a little bit when you look at some of the win total projections and standings predictions and all this stuff across the league?
Yes. I think the number one thing is, as you said, Kawhi's health, and every single, betting website or people making predictions, every person making predictions, it is fair to have the Clippers low because of the uncertainty with Kawhi Leonard's health. But when Kawhi Leonard does play, this is a very decent team. There are a lot of good defensive players that the Clippers have picked up. You're not going to be able to replace Paul George, but Derrick Jones Jr., a team that has lacked point of attack defense, adding Derrick Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, re-signing Terrence Mann, and bringing back Nicholas Batum, who, if anybody watched the Olympics, was out there guarding first options like Dennis Schroeder and SGA at age 35. So, and doing it well. So the Clippers, I'm a big defense guy. we all know that in the NBA or in any level, when you play good defense, it can make up for a not so great offense or bad shooting games, which you're going to have throughout a season. It automatically increases your floor. That 2021 Knicks team wasn't even a very good team, but they got that 4 seed in the East because their defense was very good. Now, of course, the West is very good this year. There's legitimately, to me, only like 2 teams that I would consider bad. I legitimately think the San Antonio Spurs won't necessarily be bad this year. They might end up tanking when they know they might not make the play-in, but that team would be decent. But overall, this Clippers team is being slept on because everyone's just guaranteeing that Kawhi is going to essentially like miss the whole season, which I don't know if that's true. And I think they're also sleeping on James Harden's ability to still do more than they think. You saw in the playoffs last year in games 1 and 4, no average or just good player is doing that in the playoffs. That was a great player doing that. And I think James Harden Jackson might be flirting with another All-Star appearance this year just based on what he's taking on.
Ooh, I like that. That is certainly a prediction. A James Harden All-Star appearance after what he's missed the All-Star team. I think the last 3 seasons now, 2 seasons, something like at least 3. I feel like it's been a minute since he's been an All-Star. If that's the case, if the Clippers get All-Star James Harden and for whatever amount of games they get Kawhi Leonard, here's my question to you, Dari. Let's take health out of the equation, right? Everybody's healthy on this Clippers squad. How good is this team?
I think a top 6 team in the West. If Kawhi Leonard is healthy, he's one of the 10 best players in the world. I'm very adamant about that. I don't think that's a hot take. Every metric seems to back me up. He has, I'm pretty sure, the highest winning percentage of any basketball player that is currently playing basketball in the NBA. And I know that's a very team-dependent stat. He's always been surrounded by good players since the second he came into the league. But to say that that's just a coincidence that Kawhi is up there with the likes of Magic and Bird, it's not a coincidence. The guy takes defense seriously every game, in addition to his uber efficient offense and how reliable the way he scores is. You know, he's not a deep jump shot reliant guy. You could say he's a jump shot reliant guy, but when he gets that 15-footer, 12-footer, it's kind of a layup for him, as it is for so many of the great mid-range masters of the past. So he has kind of that old school feel, and due to his strength and his fundamentals, and his IQ, he still gets those shots. So if Kawhi Leonard is healthy, you got Kawhi and James Harden with a bunch of dogs defensively. And if it's a Zubats, he's a guy who, to me, has been held back by the Clippers organization and coaching staff. It's a guy who has a very solid low post game. And because the NBA is not really a post-up league anymore, teams don't feed him. But the one thing we're seeing, and I think Jokic really helped with this, and I think with Houston, you can see Şengün, really good back-to-basket player. When you have a guy that's good enough to do it, it's still good offense. It's still decent basketball. I think the next step for Zoo is learning how to play through getting double-teamed and finding a way to still get good shots for everybody else when the inevitable double teams come. But right now, teams aren't going to double Zoo because they don't think that the Clippers will give the ball to him on the low post more than 3-4 times a game. So I think one of the biggest avenues for the Clippers to be better than people think, and back me up on that top 6 when healthy take, if it's a Zubats having, I don't know about a breakout year, but a huge step up in the scoring department and looking at him as a hub of offense in ways.
Health has been a recurring theme across our conversation here. What is the latest update on Kawhi? Kind of where is he at health-wise? What's the latest from the Clippers on him?
Yeah, it's probably going to contradict my tone throughout this and our preview video that we're gonna do for the NBA teams for Locked On, but I'm not too confident about what I'm hearing with Kawhi. He just keeps saying it's getting better. You know, he's not even going through basketball drills right now in training camp. He's just doing knee strengthening, is what they're calling it. So I don't know if he's going to be ready for opening night. I doubt he plays a game in preseason, and I think it would be a very, very tragic but fitting way to begin this new era of the Intuit Dome era with Kawhi Leonard being injured for the first game. I really hope that's not the case, but just, I don't know. It's that front is very murky, as it always is with Kawhi on the Clippers, and it doesn't make me very confident.
How much Kawhi Leonard will the Clippers actually get this season, and will vintage James Harden be enough to keep them afloat while Kawhi is rehabbing and getting back to form? You're going to have us covered for all of that and so much more over at Locked On Clippers. Darian, thanks for stopping by Locked On NBA with me.
Anytime.